This Leadership Scorecard public lecture on democracy in Africa is in honor of General Abdsulami Abubakar, GCFR, the former Nigerian head of state. And it is very important that we celebrate him because of what he has done to bring us democracy today. It is said that honor should be given to whom honor is due, and so we found it needful to gather today to have this public lecture in honor of the former head of state, General Abdsulami Abubakar, GCFR. A round of applause for him again, please, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's still go ahead in recognizing the dignitaries that we have in our midst. We have DCP Umar Hadeji. He is representing the AIG Zone 7. DCP Umar Hadeji, thank you so much for joining us here today. A round of applause for him, please, ladies and gentlemen. We also have Alhaji. Thank you very much, DJ. We also have Alhaji Abba Musarimi. He is a political administrator. Please, a round of applause for him. We also have Justice Musa Dattijo Mohammed, retired, Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. A round of applause for him, please. Thank you so much, sir. We also have Chief Danladi Mwatek. He's the coordinator of Abuja Liaison Directorate, Plateau State. He's representing His Excellency Barrister Caleb Muftwang. A round of applause for him, please. Okay. Alhaji Abba Musarimi, who is the former governor of Kaduna State. A round of applause for him, sir. Please forgive me for that, sir.
We're waiting more names, but we'd like to start this activity by just serenading with some very unique dances from the north part of this nation. We call this cultural troupe the New Town Cultural Troupe. They'll be performing a dance from the north. Please, this is just for your entertainment. Do not practice it at home. Please, let's welcome the New Town Cultural Troupe. You'll agree with me, dance is part of African culture, and definitely every celebration will have people coming to celebrate in a dance, or whatever it takes to make everyone happy there. This is a dance from the northern part of our nation, Nigeria. We call them the Fulani dance. I'm always scared when I see them dancing with that stick. But when I got to realize the essence of the stick, I said, okay, it's for protection, in case anybody gets excited. We have some of our very distinguished guests that are already seated. I will introduce them before I invite my co-MC to also introduce them. I'd like to announce to the House that we have the representative or Chief of Defense Staff here, C.G. Musa, is being represented by Major General I.M. Abdsulami. I'd like to thank you very much. Please come up to the hands together for him. And I'm glad also to confirm that Senator Abubakar Sani Bello is representing his senior legislative. It's being presented by his senior legislative aide, Barrister Rabiu Adamu. Please come and put us together for Barrister Rabiu Adamu. And we have more names to introduce, and then we'll call on our publisher to welcome you in a manner well appropriate.
Okay. We also have Senator Domingo Obande. Please, a round of applause for him. He's a friend of the House. We also have Alhaji Salmanu Abdullahi. A round of applause for him, please. Please, a round of applause for our important guests. Everyone is important. Thank you so much. We have Alhaji Ahmed Umar Bakai. He's a Garkuwa Mina. A round of applause for him, please. Hajia Sa'adatu Madi. She is the Secretary General of RAPA. A round of applause for Hajia. Alhaji Aminu Abubakar. A round of applause for him, too. We have Father Barkindo. He's the Secretary Peace Committee. A round of applause for him. We also want to recognize all members of Peace Committee here present. A round of applause for them, please.
Once again, let me place a modest apology to our distinguished guests. We're trying to have a proper protocol list so that we can introduce you for being here with us this day. The time has come for us to welcome you in a manner well appropriate. No one can give us these affectionate words of welcome but the publisher of the Scorecard magazine, Leadership Scorecard magazine. Please let's welcome Honorable Humphrey Onyema as he comes to welcome us. Please come up with a hands together for him.
His Excellency General Dr. Abdsulami Abubakar, GCFR, the 11th Nigerian head of state, our own Abraham Lincoln, the man that midwifed the 1999 democracy. And here with us, with Her Excellency, the mother of the nation, who was right there with him at that time when the decision was taken to give birth to the democracy we all enjoy today. Your Excellency, you're highly welcome. Your Excellency, Professor in the corridor of power, Baba Gana Zulum, the Governor of Infrastructure, the Governor of Agricultural Revolution, the Governor that is turning the face of Borno State into the face of hope for the new generation. The Governor will believe that very soon investors will storm Sambisa Forest and turn it into a tourist destination. Your Excellency, the Governor of Borno State. You're highly welcome. Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Mexico, you are welcome. Your Excellency, the former Governor of Kaduna State, all excellencies here, I recognize your presence. In a special way, I want to recognize the person of Professor P.L. Lumumba. As an outstanding activist of African leadership who believe that one day it will be truly Uhuru for Africa. Prof, you're highly welcome. The representative of the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, you are highly welcome. I want to also recognize here, presence with us, the board chairman of Leadership Scorecard magazine, Professor Udenta O. Udenta. It's my father, my mentor, who has been guiding me right from my tender age. And up to now, I'm still under his mentorship. I want to recognize Barrister Olu Akbata, the former president of Nigerian Bar Association. You are welcome. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to say that we are here today basically for one thing, to recognize a man that need no introduction as long as African democracy is to be talked about. The personality of Abdsulami Abubakar is a personality that it is quite exceptional among other African leaders. He had the opportunity to extend his stay in power as a military head of state. With all the paraphernalia of office, all the whatever you think of, he has it. But he chose to spend only few months in office and gave birth to this democracy we enjoy today. He did not only midwife the present democracy, but in every transition cycle, he mobilized eminent men, statesmen, outstanding personalities, people like Cardinal Onaikon, people like His Lordship, Bishop Hassan Kuka, Sultan of Sokoto, and the rest of them, to ensure that we have a peaceful transition. He keep watering, keep nurturing, keep sustaining that democracy since 1999 to date. He stepped aside in 1999, sacrificed his own interest for the interest of the nation. And he never came back to say he's seeking for the office of the president. That is quite non-African. We need to celebrate him. Today, we see a lot of people. We're only interested, want to be governor, want to be president, we want to be senator, want to be House of Reps. This is all the fight going on. But what about the man that made the democracy possible for you to even think about contesting a position? We shouldn't forget that man. He is our own Winston Churchill. He is our own Abraham Lincoln. We have to celebrate him. And that is why Leadership Scorecard Media Company thought it wise to set aside this very historic day, May 29, to celebrate our icon, to celebrate our hero of democracy, and to celebrate our own legend of democracy. Today being May 29. I expected all the 36 state governors of the Federation to be here. I expected presidencies to shut down for General Abdsulami Abubakar, because he is the one that made the presidency possible. It would have been a military leadership, all true. And you dare not say you are running for governorship under military dictatorship. It's not possible. But he made it possible. So we thank His Excellency, the Governor of Borno State, for finding out time to be with His Excellency today. Professor, you will live long. You will live long. And we look, whilst we are still going on with the event, we hope other governors will join us. Because today is a day to commemorate the Silver Jubilee, 25th anniversary for uninterrupted democracy since 1999 to date. We had other democracies in the past. It's not as if it was conceived out of any ill motive. No. But this very one was conceived, followed up to date. We are enjoying the democracy. So we need to set aside this day, May 29, every year to celebrate the personality of General Abdsulami Abubakar. And Leadership Scorecard, we are taking it as a point of duty. Today we'll be unveiling a magazine. The magazine that talks about Abdsulami Abubakar, the legacy of democracy in Africa. And it's our intention to ensure that at least 10,000 copies of this magazine is distributed across the states. Each state should get at least 10,000 copies. Our students should know the father of Nigerian democracy. Our children should know the father of African democracy. Because he didn't only midwife democracy in Nigeria, but he still go around other African countries advocating for democracy, peace, unity, and tolerance. So that personality should be known among all students cut across secondary school, university. They should read the personality of General Abdsulami Abubakar. He made it possible for this very democracy. So on this note, I want to say that you are all welcome for this very great event, and we believe that at the end of this very exercise, we will go home with this message that the personality of Abdsulami Abubakar should be celebrated in the democratic context of Nigeria and Africa at large. Thank you, and may God bless.
Thank you so much, Honorable Humphrey, for that insightful welcome address. We will now take some time to recognize some other dignitaries in our midst. The Executive Governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umara Zulum, he is here with us present. A round of applause for him, sir. You're welcome, Your Excellency. Thank you so much for finding time to join us here today. We'd also like to recognize the members of the State House of Assembly in Borno State. A round of applause for them, please. Let's also put our hands together for Olumide Abata. He is the first past president of NBA, and he is the gubernatorial candidate for Labour Party in Edo State. A round of applause for him, please. You're welcome, sir. The Executive Governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, is here represented by Right Honorable Beverly Nkem Diche. She is the Commissioner for Special Duties in Anambra State. A round of applause for her, please. You're welcome, ma'am. We're so glad to have you here. Thank you for finding time to join us. Anambra State is not close by. Thank you so much. We have Udenta Udenta. He is the Director, Center for Alternative Policy Perspectives and Strategy. He's here with us. A round of applause for him, please. Welcome, sir. We see you right over there. We also have Major General Ishola Williams, retired. He is here with us. A round of applause for him, please. Let's also welcome Professor Ali Ahmed. He is the former Speaker of Kwara State House of Assembly, representing Senator Bukola Saraki. A round of applause for him. Thank you so much, sir. He also happens to be the chairman of this occasion, and we will now call him for his opening remarks. A round of applause as he makes his way to the podium.
Your Excellency, the former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency General Abdsulami Abubakar, GCFR, Your Excellency, my Lord, the then First Lady, my special regards to you. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Borno State, our dear Professor Zulu, you are welcome, sir. Let me also acknowledge our brother, our African brother, Professor Patrice Lumumba. We call him the Philosopher King The last time I was with him was like a grand occasion like this. You're welcome again to Nigeria, Prof. I should also specifically acknowledge the 30th President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Olumide Akpata. You're welcome here. You have defeated Goliath before. We hope the upcoming battle, you will also defeat all the Goliaths that are before you. I'm representing here Senator Abubakar Bukola Saraki, the 8th President of the Nigerian Senate, who is unavoidably absent in a function that he cannot reschedule. He holds General Abdsulami in high esteem. We have been to Mina together with him at the residence, but he could just not reschedule this specific schedule outside of the country. So he sends his regrets and his address. He tells us how immeasurably invaluable it is for him to be called upon to deliver a welcome address in an occasion like this. And one may ask, I'm now reading his speech, one may ask why it is invaluable to him personally to be called upon to deliver a welcome remark. The answer is not far-fetched. General Abdulsalam Abubakar has contributed immensely to the establishment and growth of democracy, not just in Nigeria, but across Africa. As a military officer, he not only served in defense of our nations, borders, and interests, he also oversaw the return of military to the barracks and the enthronement of civilian rule in our country. I remember the skepticism that trailed his announcement on July 20th, 1998. He was going to hand over to a military government within 9 months. And the realization over the next few months that he was a different type of African military leader, one who recognized the ideas of democratic governance and was committed to delivering it to the Nigerian people. By handing over to Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, on May 29, 1999, General Abdulsalam Abubakar stepped in the pantheon of Nigerian history forever. He became only the second man to achieve that feat, and the man who set Nigeria as an example for democratic discourse across Africa, a man who chose the peace and prosperity of the nation over the trappings of power. At the time General Abubakar made this decision, Nigeria had spent 15 years under military rule, including 5 tumultuous years under late General Sani Abacha, during which economic activities almost completely halted and Nigeria was isolated as an international pariah. His commitment to the democratic journey not only caused Nigerians to enjoy the right to choose their leaders, it is also opened Nigeria up to international community, leading to previously unseen economic growth and development. Since his retirement, General Abubakar has continued to play the role of elder statesman across the continent. He has constantly mediated in complex issues and has very often been the calming voice in conflicts that have far too often plagued our continent, claimed innocent lives, and stagnated the growth and development of Africa that Africa badly needs. As chairman of the National Peace Committee, a body devoted to the conduct of peaceful elections, where the right to safely and peacefully choose leaders without fear of violence and harassment, as well as integrity of elections, General Abubakar constantly leads the call for the protection of the sanctity of democracy. Today marks the 25th anniversary of Nigeria's return to democratic rule and his exit from the stage as head of state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Because of his commitment, because of that, and his actions, we have a whole generation of young Nigerians who have never experienced military rule and who will never experience those dark days. Because of his actions, we are currently experiencing Nigeria's longest democratic rule. It bears saying the legislature is Nigeria's youngest arm of government, having only been expressed in short spurts in Nigeria prior to 1999. Nigeria's return to democratic rule, the constitutional establishment of the legislature, the election of representatives to make laws on behalf of the people have given people like me the opportunity to contribute in laying the legislative framework that has fostered growth and development across many sports sectors and given meaning to millions of lives of our people. It is for these reasons and so many more that I am privileged to welcome everyone to this public lecture in honor of General Abdsulami Abubakar, GCFR, an officer and a gentleman, a man of many parts whose commitment and integrity will forever be an example to generations. A man who has spent his retirement continually giving back to the nation and the continent. As I may not have the opportunity to return to the podium, I will end my opening remarks by praying that Almighty Allah will keep him in good health for many more years to the nation, so that the nation can continue to drink from his fountain of knowledge, wisdom, and intellect. Thank you very much, and you are all welcome.
Okay, Mr. Secretary, I'm told you will coordinate this exercise.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor and pleasure standing here today and on existing protocol to present to you this magazine in honor of our father, a leader, an international statesman par excellence, General Abdsulami Abubakar, GCFR. Sorry, I've taken on our works and a little bit of a precipitation. However, I'm still honored. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizers of this great occasion, I want to present this magazine to you. So, unveiling the magazine, which is a commemoration of the great day that is a Democracy Day in honor of our father, General Abdsulami Abubakar, whose role and efforts towards deepening our nation's democracy cannot be taken for granted. We're all seated here today enjoying a great nation, a nation thriving in democracy, in peace and prosperity. This could not have been possible without this bold step that was taken when this nation was transmitted from military rule to a democratic rule in 1999. Your Excellency General Abdsulami Abubakar, we're very grateful to you as a nation, as a people, for the role played that have brought us thus far. And it is in the respect of this that we will hail this leadership soccer, the legacy of democracy in Africa. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we formally unveil and present the legacy of democracy in Africa. Thank you very much. God bless you. Also, in furtherance to unveiling and presenting this legacy formally to the public, who wants every state governor represented here to take at least 10,000 copies, which will go to every state of the Federation. So for individuals that are here who also want to buy this, to present to their personal library, to present to students in your constituency, in your senatorial zone, it will be our honor also to welcome you to formally launch these antique copies. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Go ahead.
Like the elder mentioned, it's expected for us to have our younger generations get to know all that transpired in the course of democracy. And that's why this magazine has been put together for everyone to have a glimpse of definitely all the activities that ensued before we came into democracy fully. Truly, it will be wise for every state to pick the 10,000 copies, which we know definitely will go around libraries, and everybody that wants to make references can definitely have materials they can refer to. That is why today we're saying every state here is encouraged to pick 10,000 copies. I think it was appropriate for us to kickstart this launch of this magazine for everyone to know that we are serious about getting this information out to everyone in the whole nation. In times will come again, we'll do it all for Africa, for people to appreciate much more. May I, at this moment, want to invite the Executive Governor of Borno State, His Excellency Professor Abubakar to kickstart the launch of this magazine. Your Excellency, sir, I'd like to invite you to come around. Please, can we give you a rousing applause as it comes to work?
Today is a democracy day, and all of us are expected to be in our home states. Maybe this has informed the lean nature of the event. I'm also supposed to be in my home state to celebrate the day. But because of the great honor I have to the former president, General Abdsulami Abubakar, I said I must to come and witness this occasion. More so, I heard that he used to attend this very important function. So on this note, on behalf of the government and people of Borno State, and in honor of our father, General Abdsulami Abubakar, I want to launch 100 copies of this book at the sum of 10 million naira. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 100 copies for 10 million naira.
A round of applause for the Executive Governor, please.
I'm sure His Excellency will come for more, because when people go for it, they will definitely know they need to have a copy, and everybody will have it in his home all the time.
And of course, the people in Borno State are way more than 10,000. So 10,000 copies may not do justice to the indigenous of the state. Right next, we'd like to call the chairman of this occasion, who is the representing Senator Bukola Saraki, Professor Ali Ahmed, to do us the honors. There's a round of applause for him as he makes his way to the podium.
Thank you very much. The President of the Senate has asked me to deliver this special message to this August gathering and the organizers that the relationship between him and the awardee requires him to get in touch with the organizers directly without any intervention, and that is what he will do before the end of the day today.
Thank you very much, sir. Next, we would like to call on the past NBA president and the Labour Party gubernatorial candidate of Edo State, Mr. Olumide Abubakar, to the podium. A round of applause for him as he makes his way here, please. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, General Abdsulami Abubakar, past President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and our First Lady in that era, my Lord. I thank you so much. I thank the organizers for inviting me. Your Excellency, the Governor of Borno State, Professor Zulum, our keynote speaker, Professor P.L. Lumumba, who we hold in the highest of esteem here in Nigeria and across the continent. Chairman of the occasion, Dr. Abubakar Bukola Saraki, who's here represented by my brother, the Professor Ali. I don't stand on protocol. I lean on protocol for obvious reasons. I don't want to damage protocol. So, but I must recognize His Grace Archbishop Onayekon, who I'm sitting right next to, and I must recognize my Lord, the Honorable Justice Muhammad Datijo Muhammad, former Justice of the Supreme Court, and a mentor to me. I must thank the organizers not only for inviting me, but for even thinking it fit to host this event. 25 years of our democracy, and there is no doubt, I am sure we're all in agreement, that there's one individual, if the story of Nigeria's democracy is written, there's one individual whose name cannot be forgotten, cannot be missed out, and that is our dear father, General Abdsulami Abubakar. I just love him, like many of us, and I think he knows that, and I've had an abiding and very, very beneficial relationship with him since the time when our paths crossed. I always like to remind everybody that he appointed my uncle, the Honorable Justice Ephraim Akpata, as chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission in that year. And my uncle's testimony until he passed was that indeed our general gave him all facilities required to do his job without any interference. That was my uncle's testimony until he passed. We love you, sir. We are so grateful to God that you are here with us, and we will continue to record progress, and we will continue to record more milestones in this democracy, and we will never forget you. God bless you, sir. I will launch this magazine, and I commend the organizers. I will take 2 copies for 2 million naira, which I will take back to Benin. As you know, I am in the hustings at the moment, and it is in my enlightened self-interest that the democracy that our general helped to midwife is sustained if I'm able to achieve my own present pursuits. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olumide Abubakar. Another round of applause for him, please. I beg your pardon. Right now, we will take a little break on this session. We will continue just a little bit later, but right now it's time for us to take the keynote address.
And the man to give us the keynote address is a man that has drunk from the fountain of knowledge, his mental austerities of all known everywhere, and he is so humble enough to want to share his experiences and also whatever it takes to make sure democracy thrives not only in Nigeria, in Africa, and wherever democracy is being practiced.
Okay, we will now make welcome Professor Patrick Lumumba. He is a director of Kenya School of Law and has served as a director of the Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission.
I am happy to be present here in Nigeria this afternoon. I'm happy because this is celebrated as the Day of Democracy. And I am informed that throughout the 36 states of Nigeria, there is some activity which is deliberately designed to celebrate democracy. Democracy is sometimes an unhappy word because it is understood differently. But permit me to say that throughout my intervention, my understanding of democracy will mean a government that acknowledges people's participation, a government that guarantees that a people are given the opportunity from a standpoint of enlightenment to elect into office men and women who will serve them as servants rather than masters. If that is what democracy is, it also gladdens my heart to be in the presence of a man who at a critical time in the history of the Federal Republic of Nigeria did something that in my view has not been sufficiently celebrated in Nigeria. General Abdsulami Abubakar. At a time when Africa and African countries were infamous for individuals who would want to hold office forever, you gave up office. At a time when many skeptics and many cynics thought that you would stay on, you said, I would not stay on. At a time when many had written the obituary of Nigeria, you created a situation that facilitated the peaceful transfer of power. And you may or may not know, it is because of that simple act that at critical moments in Nigeria's history, even when there is the appetite for individuals to stay in office, they remember your act and they leave office because they know that they will be judged alongside you. May God bless you. He will bless you because you did something that planted or replanted the tree of democracy in Nigeria and sent a clear message to the world and to Nigerians that one can do that which is in the best interest of his or our country. Today, therefore, as we are assembled here to celebrate you, because as the saying goes, when a person has gold in his hand, sometimes he thinks he has copper. Nigerians, you have gold in your hands, pretty much such. We are assembled here in Nigeria at a time when Africa is still interrogating democracy. And in order to understand and appreciate democracy, we must remind ourselves that the African continent as we know her today, divided as she is into 54 states, is a continent that continues to underperform. She is a continent whose sons and daughters on the dawn of independence promised many things. One must also remember that only on the 25th day of May, we celebrated Africa Day. We celebrated that day because on that day in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, 32 heads of states and government who were representing the countries that had regained their independence assembled. And each one of them, without exception on that day, made a solemn vow that Africa, having unchained ourselves from the shackles of colonization, would move on a different trajectory. On that day, the leader said that in order for Africa to immunize ourselves against the diabolical machinations of the former colonizers, Africa had to unite. They said that. On that day, they reminded themselves that if Africa and her sons and daughters were to realize their potential, their economic circumstances would have to be improved. They reminded themselves on that day that Africa needed to address the critical areas of the society so that the dividends of democracy can be earned. But several years down the line, in many countries in Africa, even in countries where we celebrate democracy, there are many who say it was better while we waited. They say so because there is a sense in which the promise or the promises that were made have not been delivered. In a manner of speaking, if you allow me to be dramatic, we were promised an elephant, and many times we have delivered to us a rabbit. And that is what then legitimizes our interrogation of democracy. In the last few years, those who are our colonizers and those who in many ways continue to want to dominate our affairs have wanted to dictate to us what democracy is. They have wanted to tell us, and they have told us, that democracy means that you must have periodic elections. And there is nothing wrong with periodic elections. They have wanted to tell us, and indeed they have told us, that democracy equals to multi-party politics. And I know countries in Africa where we have over 233 political parties. There is a sense in which they want to tell us how to run our affairs. But today, as we interrogate what democracy is, I want to suggest to this audience that democracy must be understood contextually, and that there is no one-size-fits democracy. In other words, I'm saying that democracy only has a critical DNA, and that DNA is people participation. In other words, at all critical moments when we claim that there is democracy, we must ensure that the will of the people is expressed. I remember as a young student reading about a Latin American leader known as Somoza, and it is recorded that during an election, he said to the one who had actually won the election, and the man told him, "I won the vote," he said, "but you did not win the count." I am suggesting to us that Africa must give practical meaning to democracy, where the vote of the people is given its pride of place. Because history has demonstrated not once, not twice, but times without number, that when a people are invested in their governance system, then they will protect it with their life. And if they protect it with their life, then they will ensure that the democracy that they are talking about is not a democracy that is only designed to satisfy the appetite of those who are in positions of leadership, but it is the kind of democracy that is designed to address this generation and generations yet to be born. We are suggesting, therefore, that it is fitting and right for Nigeria and indeed any nation to interrogate their brand of democracy. I have come to Nigeria at a time when every other governor and indeed His Excellency the President of Nigeria are around and about trying to interrogate their first year in office. In other words, they are coming back to the people and asking themselves, have we delivered on the promises that we made to the people? And I want to suggest to Nigeria that that is a good thing. When leaders or those in positions of leadership have a sense of guilt, and they have a sense of responsibility to the people that they govern. That is the beginning of the development and the growth of democracy. What is happening in Nigeria today, therefore, is a good thing. When I listen to governors from different states of Nigeria saying, you elected me on the basis of a manifesto, and I'm suggesting and I'm showing you that on the basis of that manifesto, we have started a journey, that is a good thing. When I see the governor of Borno, and we have had a conversation, he'll be leaving very shortly, he wants to go back to Borno to tell those who elected him, you elected me 1 year ago, and I've started the race because, as they say in the Kiswahili language, a cock or a chick that will grow into a cock is seen on the day that it hatches. And your ladyship, it is also true of a chick that will grow into a hen. And it is also true that a good day is seen in the morning. So the whole idea of interrogating democracy in Nigeria is a good thing. But it must be said that democracy is a culture that must be inculcated in the minds and hearts of a people. I remember a lady who was once the president of Philippines, Corazon Cojuangco Aquino, once said that if you call democracy a practice where people vote without knowing what they are voting for, or when people vote because of tribe or religion, that is not democracy, that is a confederation of fools. I am suggesting to us that in order to have proper democracy, we must be informed by only one desire. We must be informed by the desire to ensure that the countries that we live in are led by men and women who are blind to our differences, men and women who are blind to the distinguishing factors which only divide us. Because as the saying goes, he is not a Democrat, he or she who appeals to primordial ethnic sentiments or religious sentiments. We must, as a people, recognize that our diversity is our strength. And I want to suggest to us that, as the famous Kenyan Ali Mazrui said, Africa has distinguished herself, that in the midst of the disruption that she has suffered, because you and remember, Africa suffered the pain of slavery and we withstood that. Africa suffered the pain of colonization and we withstood that. Africa is reeling from the pain of neo-colonization and we are withstanding that. African countries withstood the pain of arbitrary partition in Berlin in 1884, and peoples of different cultures were put together. But even in the midst of our diversity, somehow we continue to thrive. Let us not judge ourselves too harshly. Sometimes I fear that in Africa we judge ourselves too harshly. But what is 62 years, what is 67 years when your life had been disrupted for 100 years? What is 50 years when you had been confused? What is 50 years or 60 years when a dominant power came into your midst and their declared policy was divide, conquer, and rule, and you are trying to liberate yourself from their conquest, and they appear to have gone and they have not gone? Let us not judge ourselves too harshly. Africa has been victimized, and victimized in many ways. Victimized by prescriptions which do not sit well with the realities of the continent of Africa. Africa has been victimized by institutions which were alien. John Henry Clark, that famous American civil rights when asked about governance in Africa, said that one of the problems of the continent of Africa was that when her countries regained their independence, not a single one of them adopted systems that can be described as African. What they did was to inherit governance systems that were bequeathed to them by their colonizers. And this was his verdict, that unless they adopt and adapt, they will never succeed on the basis of those borrowed systems. Because a coat that is borrowed does not sit well on your shoulders. I'm suggesting to us that Africa must now redefine what democracy means in the context of the realities of Africa. We must agree that there is a DNA which is dominant. We must agree that that DNA, as I said at the very beginning, is one that requires people participation. We must agree that that DNA is a DNA that requires that leadership must be changed, that young blood must replace old blood periodically, that new ideas must replace old ideas, because it is only through that process that a society is renewed. We must also take into account that many African countries are diverse, and that our democracy must also take into account our diversity. We must also take into account that our countries have different cultures, and that there is wisdom in looking at our cultural practices and adopting the things that can work and discarding the things that cannot work. Because I still hold the view that debate about governance in Africa is a continuing debate. We must also remind ourselves that the whole idea about democracy is intergenerational, that one generation plays their part, and once they have played their part, they hand over the baton to another generation, so that after many generations, it can be said of a people that they have succeeded in sustaining a good system which benefits them. Because the question that we must ask ourselves today when we talk about democracy is, why democracy? Is democracy an end in itself? Does democracy stop on the day that the European Union tells us that we held peaceful elections? On the day that the observers tell us that we had transparent elections, is that the day that democracy ends? Is it the day when the Electoral Commission comes and pronounces, behold, you have a new president, behold, you have a new governor, behold, you have a new senator, behold, you have a new representative of the House of Senate or the House of Representatives? Is that what democracy is? Is it the case that on that day, the men and women whom we then elect can now go out into the world and say, behold, we have been given the power to rule the roost? Or that is when work begins? I'm suggesting that that is when work begins, because in true democracy, those who have the honor and privilege of serving their countries must be servants of their people. Those who have the honor and privilege of serving their countries must only have one agenda. They must be trustees of the things that they are entrusted with. That those who have the honor and privilege of serving their people will go out there and will be prepared to say that they are prepared to lay down their lives for the benefit of the people. And the people only want a few things. The people want to be told that if there is agriculture, that agriculture will be supported and they will be able to deliver, that they can feed themselves. The people want to be told that they will have good health systems so that when they are sick, they will go to hospitals that are worth the scratch, and they will not want to see hospitals built for them and their leaders running away to different parts of the world to seek better medical care. They will not want that. They will not want to see their education system being an education system that is prepared for them, and then the children of those whom they have elected going to different parts of the world, they will not want to see that. They will want to ensure that they have power and energy, particularly the younger generation. They want to ensure that they are enjoying the dividends of artificial intelligence. They'll want to ensure that governance facilitates them and makes them inventors and innovators and creates for them an environment where they can thrive. Because if we don't make democracy do that, then our young men and women will be dying in the Mediterranean Sea. Then our young men and women will be humiliated at embassies of foreign countries. Then our young men and women who have the opportunity will run away to go and be engineers in different parts of the world. Then our young men and women will not have faith in their country. Then our young men and women will want to acquire the passports of different countries. Then our young men and women will not be proud of democracy. Your Excellency, the democracy that you cherished, the democracy that you keep talking about and walking around Africa for, is a democracy that promises us that Africa can be great again. And Africa must be great again. And Africa will never, ever be great, I submit to you, Nigerians, if Nigeria is not great. Why do I say that? With a population of over 300 million, I'm suspecting that your census doesn't always tell us the truth. I suspect you are 300 million. With a population of 300 million, if that Nigeria can be made into a market, who can control the continent of Africa? Who can ignore the continent of Africa? Tell me, where in the world do you not find a Nigerian? Somebody once told me that if you go to any place in the world and you do not find a Nigeria, run away from that place. Because there is nothing to be done in that place. I'm suggesting that the democracy of Nigeria will only begin to have meaning when Nigeria provides leadership. The time is now. As we celebrate democracy in Africa today, I'm calling upon Nigeria and Nigerians, rise up to the occasion. Rise up so that your politics will be a point of reference, so that when we watch men and women in the Senate in Nigeria and in the House of Representatives in Nigeria, and we watch them debate, they'll be debating about the things that relate to Africa. They'll be debating about Africa Agenda 2063. They'll be debating about Africa Continental Free Trade Area. They will not demanding of anybody that anybody who wants to come to Nigeria who is an African must have a visa. No. Nigeria, being as big as it is, should be the welcoming big brother, because when you do that, we'll follow your leadership. We want to see a Nigeria that is economically dominant, because if Nigeria is strong, then the rest of Africa is strong. So when I hear occasionally Nigeria saying that it is the third largest, sometimes the second largest, sometimes the first largest economy in Africa, I'm not impressed. Because when you have a GDP of 500 billion, I'm not impressed. I think you should have a GDP of 10 trillion United States dollars. Then I will be impressed. And you have the human resources. You have the intellectual wherewithal to ensure that that happens. When I hear Nigeria saying that they generate anything between 5,000 and 10,000 megawatts of electricity, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed because little Denmark generates 35,000 megawatts of electricity. And if Nigeria is to earn the dividends of democracy through industrialization, Nigeria must now get and embark in the serious business of ensuring that Nigeria has energy to propel not only her and her neighbors, but the continent of Africa into the fourth industrial revolution. Those are the dividends of democracy. I want to hear that Nigeria is successful because Nigeria can be the defender of democracies in Africa. I want to hear that when the leaders of Nigeria go to different parts of the world, they are treated with respect because Nigeria has demonstrated economically, politically, and diplomatically that they are the dividends of democracy. I want to see that when one carries a Nigerian passport, but I hope that there will be an African passport, that that passport will be respected throughout the world. I look forward to those days. You know, General, today we are saying many things about democracy, but you are the one who has made us say these things. You have made us say these things because at a critical moment in the history of your country, you played your part. At a critical moment in the history of your country, you became selfless. At a critical moment in the history of your country, you thought about patriotism. At a critical moment in the history of your country, you chose the path of rectitude. At a critical moment in the life of your country, you chose to follow the right path. And today, you are alive and well because God is saying, good. I created a responsible human being. Promise heaven and deliver heaven. Promise us an antelope and deliver an antelope. Let it not be that you promise us an antelope and you deliver a rabbit. I know you well, and I know you will deliver. Today, therefore, as we talk about democracy in Africa, let me say how glad I am to be in the presence of greatness, to be in the presence of men and women who, having been given the opportunity to serve, served well. Speaking on the 6th day of March 1997, the former president of Tanzania, Julius Kambarage Nyerere, in Accra, Ghana, said, when we fought against the colonialists, we said, among other things, that we will make our people enjoy the dividends of good governance. We identified our enemies, and our enemies, then he said, were poverty, disease, and ignorance. When we had the opportunity to serve, we tried to fight poverty, and we have discovered that poverty takes different faces. We have succeeded, and there is a sense in which we have done certain good things. We tried to fight diseases, and we built hospitals and different facilities, and there is a sense in which our people now live longer. We tried to fight ignorance, and we have built institutions, and there is a sense in which our people now know. Those who judge us from outside say we have failed. We have not. This is a journey of 1,000 miles. We have only run 100 miles. We must never be judged after 100 miles. This is a journey which is intergenerational. Our generation have played their part, and they have handed over the baton. It is the duty of the next generation to run the next leg. And when they do so, they'll discover this old adage, that when you plant a tree, you never enjoy its shadow. That when you plant a tree, what you do is to ensure that you water it. Another generation will prune it. Another generation will enjoy its shadow. Abdsulami Abubakar, GCFR, you planted a tree. You watered it a little. In your life, you can see us continuing to water it across the continent. May God bless you, and may democracy prevail in the continent of Africa. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Professor Patrick Lumumba. And truly, let us not judge ourselves so harshly as we continue to rededicate ourselves to good governance. We must indeed redefine democracy in the context of Africa's realities. Africa will indeed be great again. Nigeria will be great again. Thank you so much, Professor Lumumba, for that beautifully curated and inspiring keynote address. A round of applause for him again, please. Right now, we will be taking some excellencies, we will be sharing their thoughts on democracy. But before we call them up to the podium, let's first of all call the representative of the Anambra State Governor, Honorable Commissioner for Special Duties, Right Honorable Beverly Nkem-Diche, to come to the podium and please launch the magazine. Round of applause for her, please.
Your Excellency, Dr. Abdsulami Abubakar, Your Honor, I bring greetings from Anambra State. Please let me stand on already established protocol so I won't make mistakes in calling names. For Anambra State, I haven't done my consultation, but I'm going to go ahead and do something on my own for the state. For 10 votes, I'm going to give 10 million. Thank you very much.
I'm proud for that from Anambra State too. Thank you so much, ma'am. Also, we will be calling Chief Engineer Danladi Muatok. He is representing His Excellency Caleb Mutwang, the Governor of Plateau State, to launch the magazine. A round of applause for him too.
Your Excellency, sir, the father of democracy in Nigeria, we're glad to be here today. The people of Plateau State send their greetings. We're glad to celebrate an icon when democracy is mentioned in Nigeria. You laid this foundation, sir. I want to ask a question which I believe has been answered in this magazine. Laying this foundation 25 years ago in 1999, today is 2024. You've watched democracy grow in Nigeria. How far so far? Are we doing okay? Are we doing right? Are we in the right direction? Is there any indication that we'll get to our destination of a developed nation? On behalf of His Excellency, I have not actually discussed with him, but he shared his thoughts on this program and wished that he attended by himself. You are all aware there is a lot of rebirth on the plateau. And as the father of the state, he had to stay back to attend to some infant needs. So he begs your pardon that he is not here today. I stand here on his behalf and would want to, like my counterpart here from Anambra State, I will do it and get back to consult. And so, like my counterpart from the Borno State Axis, we will take 100 copies for another 10 million. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for him again. We will now be taking some thoughts on democracy. Right now, let's make welcome to the microphone, Professor Odenta.
I'd like to interject a little. Sorry to say, we'll do just an item, then we will call back on Professor Odenta to come and share his thoughts. It will be appropriate for us to give an award to a man who has worked so tirelessly for peace in his own state and also translating to Nigeria everywhere. I'll be calling on His Excellency, the Governor of Borno State, Professor Abubakar, to come out for an award. And to do the presentation will be our dear speaker, keynote speaker, Professor Patrick Lumumba, who will be giving him this award. Please can we celebrate him as a observer.
Thank you very much. Okay, let him read the citation. No, I'm not going to read it. Give him the microphone.
Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, this certificate dated the 29th day of May, the year 2024, is given to Professor Abubakar Umar Zulum, who is the Executive Governor of Borno State, as Democracy Governor of the year 2024. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Your Excellency, and thank you very much, Dr. Lumumba, for doing us the honors.
Congratulations once again to the Executive Governor of Borno State. A round of applause for him again, please. Right now, like I said earlier, we will be taking some thoughts on democracy. And right now, I would like to invite to the microphone Professor Odenta. He is a director with the Center for Alternative Policy Perspectives and Strategies here in Abuja. Round of applause for him as he makes his way to the microphone, please. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I just have 5 minutes to drop my thoughts on the brilliant lecture delivered by our compatriot, Professor Lumumba. Your Excellency, General Abdsulami Abubakar, former head of state, his lovely wife, Honorable Justice Fatia Abubakar, Your Excellencies, and my lords, spiritual and temporal, you're welcome. I don't even know where to begin, except to join the ranks of all those who spoke before me, to give honor to whom honor is due. His Excellency was called to duty in 1998 at a very turbulent junction in Nigerian political history. The nation has literally lost its way. The competition between Abacha and Abiola was intense. The military was morally exhausted. And then we needed a clean break. That particular constituency felt that the only man who had to be called to duty to deliver democracy and save the country was him. And he discharged that duty diligently with passion, commitment, and dedication. Beyond his sterling achievements, it is equally important that for 25 years we have to meditate on democracy. My few comments will be meditation on the course liberal democracies have run 25 years after his inauguration under his watchful eyes. In the late 80s and early 90s, and I'm happy Professor Lumumba grounded his thoughts, finally, on the meaning of democracy and import of Afro-centered understanding of what democratic governance is all about. That is part of the challenge of decoloniality, not decolonization. Decolonization is just to remove the white, bring in some level of blackness into governance and so on. Decoloniality is how do we the link from colonial modernity that transferred itself into the post-colonial space and today has rendered Africa almost prostrate. From the late 1980s, liberal democracy advertised itself as an universal system with normative claims: one man, one woman, one vote, electoral process, accountability, rule of law, power of representation, etc. And African leaders and African public eager to throw away the big man syndrome and eager to embrace democratization when fools caught on to embrace Western liberal democracy. 30-something odd years, Africa is now a veritable wasteland. The post-colonists have definitely crumbled. Lampedusa is a metaphor of African collapse as our youths flee in their millions across the desert towards the Mediterranean into the sanctuaries of Europe. Repeated elections and electoral processes do not guarantee the legitimacy of a democratic system. Contested elections does not imply accountability.
Thank you so much, Professor Odenta. We will now be presenting an award to Mr. Olumide Abata.
Barrister Oluwapata, as a democracy icon in Nigeria. Barrister, we wish you well, and we hope that the democratic process in Edo will give birth to your desires. Thank you.
I just want to say one thing. Apart from my gratitude, I just want to promise Professor Lumumba that when I promise an antelope, I will deliver an antelope. Thank you.
The time has come for me to invite someone whose voice has always resonated when he speaks to the conscience of Nigerians. Today he's here with us, and definitely I'm talking about Distinguished Senator Sheikh Husani. Please come around. Please come over and see the group.
Your Excellency, the former head of state, General Abdsulami Abubakar, our mother, the former First Lady, Your Excellencies, our guest lecturer, our revered Cardinal, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, it is a honor and a privilege to be invited to make a little contribution to this forum. First and foremost, I should thank the former head of state, General Abdsulami Abubakar. And why I should thank him was that in 1998, when he took over power, I and some Nigerians were serving a long sentence in the Nigerian prison. I happened to be one of those who was sentenced to life imprisonment for treason, along with the former President General Olusegun Obasanjo, late Dr. Bekoran Samputi, many journalists, activists, and those who were at the forefront of the struggle for democracy in Nigeria. And for those of us who have been in prison, we thought we will spend the rest of our lives in prison when a military tribunal in 1995 found us guilty and sentenced us to life in prison. At that time, I was the deputy president of the umbrella campaign organization, Pro-Democracy Group, the Campaign for Democracy. When the news came to us in prison that General Sani Abacha died and General Abdsulami Abubakar took over power, we knew that freedom has come. And then, what was a bit discomforting was that the first batch of people to be released were released by the government at that time. My name was not there. The second batch, my name was not there. And I felt like sending a letter to remind the president or the head of state that there are some of us who were sent to prisons far away from Lagos and Abuja. Because at that time I was in Port Harcourt prison when I wrote a letter and it was published, and I was transferred to Aba prison in Abia State, and the late General Sheikh Musa Yar'Adua was transferred from Port Harcourt prison to Abakaliki in Ebonyi State, where he died. So when the third list came, my name was on the first stanza. And then I wasted no time in packing my bag and baggages to leave that prison. I don't want to be a Mandela to spend 27 years. So I spent 4 years in prison and we were out. After coming out of prison, it has been a bit challenging to meet our head of state and to thank him. But over the years, I was able to see him. Unfortunately, today, most young people who had no experience of what life was under military rule are so much impressed with what is happening in some countries in West Africa. And you cannot blame them, because in 1999 there was so much hopes and expectations and dreams that we are out of a military dictatorship and will be into a democracy that will ensure social justice, freedom, rights for everyone, unity and peace. But we must not accept that in the last 24 to 25 years, you can see the level of destruction, of death, of the looting of the treasury of the country by the political class. And I believe for those of us who were handcuffed, like chained and imprisoned in the struggle for justice and freedom, I don't think there's anyone that can lecture us about freedom and democracy. Each time I meet the general, he asks me this question for the last 24 years, where are we heading to? And the last one he asked me was about 2 weeks ago, when I met him when one of the members of House of Reps was to be buried. And he asked that question. Your Excellency, I know where we came from, but I don't know where we are heading to. And I will say this. What has happened in Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Niger, in Guinea, in Gabon, in Chad, cannot be blamed on the military but the political class. One of the fundamental differences between democracy and military dictatorship is elections. When the political class suffocates the democratic process and made it impossible for people to rise to the position of power and authority through legitimate, free, fair, and credible means, then I think democracy has been murdered at that very time. Another fundamental difference between democracy and military is justice. When it's so difficult for people to find justice in the court of law, democracy has also been killed. If you look at the history of this country and the history of these countries that are also now under military rule, it's all about elections. The people cannot be elected in a manner as clearly stated in our constitution of our law, then democracy has been suffocated. I hope that the lecture being given to us here by Professor Lumumba, as he has always done, and he has become an unofficial ambassador of Nigeria. When many people say bad things about our country, I think what we usually do is to take a clip from what Professor has always said about this country and send to them. It is for us to build this democracy, to strengthen this democracy, to reinforce this democracy, for it to last. All these things we are saying, military rule is out of date, military rule is a thing of the past. It's a thing of the past. Look at what is happening around us here. So we should do the right thing, and we should ensure that this democracy is safeguarded, is protected, and our constitution is sacred. Then we can move forward. General Abubakar had the opportunity to contest election because there was so much pressure on him, I can remember at that time. But he refused. And today this is what is happening. Even those that have called themselves Democrats, each time a governor is leaving office, he has to ensure either his son or his wife become a senator or member of House of Reps, or he put in place a loyalist, not a person who is competent, but a loyalist who has nothing in stock other than loyalty. So this is how democracy is destroyed. General Abubakar, our father, our uncle, there is nothing we can say, there is nothing we can do to appreciate what you have done. But for the rest of our lives and for the rest of your life, we will continue to see you as our own more than founding father of democracy in Nigeria. For all those that have handed over, yours has lasted. And I think you should not be very far away from always bringing to notice and to the attention and to the conscience of this nation when things go wrong. Because democracy is still very fragile. What is happening in our neighbors is something we have never envisaged. This is a country you handed over peacefully, but a quarter of our country today is under the control of bandits and terrorists. In some places, as close as our state, which is Niger, there are villages that have been ransacked. People have been displaced and sent to other places, forcefully, by bandits. This was not what we dreamt of. The world is dynamic, politics is dynamic. If we want our democracy to thrive, to endure, then we have to do what is right. Having said that, the senator representing Niger East, Senator Sani Musa 313, has asked me to extend his apology for his absence and also to express his solidarity and support for this forum and appreciation for all you have done. Whoever is a governor, a senator, a member of House of Reps, and holding any position of power and authority today is a beneficiary of the sacrifice you made. Senator 313 Sani Musa has bought 5 copies, asked me to buy 5 copies of this magazine at the rate of 2 million naira. And for me, I'm a former senator. Our own, which we have collected, have since expired. So I will announce my own secretly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Sheikh Husani. Before I invite our next speaker, may I quickly give the privilege to His Excellency the Ambassador of Mexico to Nigeria, Mr. Alfredo Miranda, to come over and launch also our magazine. Once in Nigeria, you're also a Nigerian. Please can we put our hands together as we welcome him.
Good evening, everyone. Protocol observed. It has been a real privilege for me to witness the love that has been generated by His Excellency the former president of Nigeria, Abubakar. It's a testimony of the work that you have done in favor of your nation. Mexico recognized this important historical step that you have done, not in your time as in the crucial time, yet that you took the decision to step into the democracy, also in the work that you have done. And it's a privilege for me to be with you and to also launch this important magazine, the scorecard that I have invited. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I wanted to say in pidgin, I'll go and hear the amount. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Fredo. The time has come for us to hear from the voice of a lady admired for hard work and definitely her achievements have been so outstanding. She is the director of the Abdsulami Abubakar Institute for Peace and Sustainable Development, Dr. Mrs. Diamond.
By making sure that we are enjoying 25 years of unbroken democracy. I would like to say that immediately after handing over, he felt that there was the need to give back to society based on his experiences as a military officer that was involved in the Civil War, knowing what it was to experience the Civil War in Nigeria, and at the same time, in his role as the former head of state, looking at the critical situation at that point in time he took over, he felt that there was the need to give back to society. And one of the ways he thought he could do that was to establish the institute in 2002. The Abdsulami Abubakar Institute for Peace and Sustainable Development Studies was established in 2002 and is based in Mina. The institute is an independent institute responsible for the promotion of peace, security, and development in Africa. Over the years, the institute has been engaged in series of workshops, conferences, education and training, and we have been able to impact on policy and practice. Not only that, we have been able to impact on the youth, and we have been able to make impact with respect to the area of climate change. The Institute is so blessed to have him as the initiator and founder, and he has been playing a great role in ensuring that Nigeria lives peaceably, not even during normal situations, but even during the conduct of elections. At this juncture, I would like to appreciate our professor, the distinguished guest lecturer, for a well-thought-out lecture on democracy. In appreciation of what you have done, the Institute would like to make some presentation to you, sir. I would like to present this plaque on behalf of His Excellency.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Your Eminence, your voice is loud and clear. We hear it. This award is for peace and democracy icon in Nigeria, and I believe in Africa. Congratulations.
Please, another round of applause for His Eminence, please. An award well deserved.
I have to say something?
Yes, sir, you can.
When Scorecard came to my house to invite me to this occasion, I never heard about them before. I thought they were just one of those many groups that keeps coming to Cardinal Nayekon's house, wanted to maybe looking for some name to give a bit of substance to their ideas. But since they were talking of peace, if you want to catch me, just talk peace and I will follow. Then when they then mentioned the name of General Abubakar Abdsulami, I just have to. You have not mentioned here that he is our chairman, the chairman of the National Peace Committee. We have been working quietly behind the scenes. I don't know whether we have made any impact. Very often, these things, you don't know how far you have gone. But we believe in God very much that it will be so. I thank the Scorecard for giving me an award. And I'm happy that it has been delivered to me by PLO Lumumba, whom I always listen to, but this is my first time or first meeting face to face. When you said that you are here, you'll be hearing me loud and clear. Do you know that if not because I'm a bishop, I would have become very proud of the fact that you are hearing me. I don't want to say much on this occasion, except one important thing. I've always told people that democracy is not an end in itself, and that democracy is nothing if it does not lead to good governance. If we have that clear in our minds, then we make sure we pursue the things that Professor Lumumba said. You said it in a different way, that no matter how much you go to elections, if the normal parameters of good governance doesn't come out, we are just playing games. We are just playing games. And I'm in a position to say so because, you know, I'm a cardinal of the Roman Catholic Church, and our church is not a democracy. But I think we have good governance, which spreads down to the level of dioceses. In other words, you can actually have good governance without what we are now calling democracy. Another way of what Professor Odenta was telling us, we should look for other ways of ensuring good governance so that people, their freedom, they can express their mind, they are involved in how they are ruled, and there is prosperity and peace. That's all we are asking for. Obviously, what it means is that we are not getting these things now, which means all the movements we have been doing, calling ourselves democracy. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All right. We'd like to place a modest apology. That's why we had to change their name from National Embarrassment and Public Annoyance to the current electricity company now. The time has come for us to get to the highlight of this event, where we present to our very distinguished guest an award to recognize his many achievements and many contributions to democracy. But we're going to do it in such a way that we have all his family members and all his entourage come to support him so that we go ahead to give the award. We'll crave and indulge of His Eminence. You will do us the honors of presenting the award. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, with every applause and every celebration,
and everybody upstanding, please.
Welcome and receive General, His Excellency, General Abdsulami Al-Haji Abubakar, GCFR, Head of State of Nigeria, 1998 and 1999, and Honorable Justice Abdsulami Abubakar, CON.
Is a round of applause for them as they come to the podium.
Let's keep clapping.
Let's keep clapping, please.
And let's have all family members come around to support.
Award of all awards. And that is given to the chief guest of honor. Your Excellency, former
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, General Abdsulami Abubakar, GCFR. This is in honor of the work that you have done and continue to do. And we who are here, let this spirit spread. May God bless and protect you at all times. Be blessed.
All right, we will allow His Excellency and his wife to go back and sit down while others please remain. All the family members. Congratulations, sir. Please, everyone here, please stay back. We want you also to support this program. We'll give you all the microphone for you to support all these activities that we're doing here. Sir, let's get to meet you and then your support for this program. Please do not go back. Can we still have you remain so as to support this worthy cause?
Well, first I want to congratulate Nigerians for the democracy they fought for. We handed over 25 years ago, and democracy is growing from strength to strength. I congratulate us, and I want Nigerians to ensure that this democracy continues, and those in authorities should do governance with all sincerity, equity, and justice.
Thank you so much. All royal fathers, I want to, on behalf of the Women's Rights Advancement and Protection Alternative Rapper, the NGO that was founded by the wife of our icon in 1999, serving Nigerian women. In the last 2 years alone, we have served over 3 million Nigerian women, youth, and families. With all modesty, I want to say it is the only pet project of a First Lady that has remained as a standing icon of this family. The sincerity of purpose of this family transcends everything they touch. Professor Mulumba, this is a family to celebrate and an icon to follow to his grave. On behalf of RAPA, we purchased 36 copies so that each of our state branches will have a copy at the sum of 500,000 naira.
No, you didn't add Abuja.
Okay, 37. Thank you very much.
Okay. May I quickly invite also Alhaji Abdullahi Salihu. Alhaji Abdullahi Salihu. And after that, Alhaji Aminu Abubakar. We had earlier called him, he will come also. Alhaji Abdullahi, we wait your arrival. Okay. Also on the list here we have Alhaji Anthony Abubakar. Okay.
I have the privilege to launch 10 copies for 1 million naira.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Let's also have Alhaji Anthony Abubakar to come support this laudable project in honoring Okay, Alhaji Aminu Abubakar, we want to have you quickly. Thank you very much. Okay, that's the person. Okay. Oh. Okay, we want to have Alhaji Anthony Abubakar to...
This commissioner for special duties, the person who goes on special missions for His Excellency, the governor. Please greet him for us.
I sure will.
And this, God bless you.